And boom, Labs Legion, we back with another video, man. I hope y'all doing good, man. First things first, bro. I want to sincerely thank y'all, man. I've reached my first 1,000 view video. We dropped a video about a little bit about the Epstein video. We had that reaction. You'll see it on the page. The little analytics are right here. And I just want to say, bro, like, ever since being young, I always knew I wanted to do content. I always knew I wanted to I ain't gonna say specifically content. I learned as getting older, that's what the lane I wanted to do. But I know I always wanted to entertain people. And I do this shit for y'all. So for y'all to be able to give me my first 1K views, it's just a milestone that I just hope to go through so many milestones with y'all, bro. Like, damn, bro. It gets me real happy, bro. Like, this is something I love to do, y'all. Like, I have a real job that I obviously need to financially take care of me. I have a son, a 5-year-old son, but like, this right here is something that when I'm having a bad day, I want to make a video. I want to make content. I make skits and other content on all the little usernames below. Instagram, I drop a lot of skits on there as well. But I'm all over the place. This was specifically to let y'all know I want to thank y'all for those 1,000 views, and keep liking, keep commenting, keep subscribing on that video. Not only that video, but all my videos, man. And I hope to grow the Labs Legion. That's this community. Hope to grow it more and more. And I'm thankful for everybody that's a part of the Labs Legion, man. Because I couldn't do it without you guys, bro. Matty Balls video, man. I'm telling you, bro, one day I hope I get big enough to where I can do like a video with Matty Balls, because man, I watch all of his videos. They're great videos for me to react to. A lot of things he talks about I know about, so it just becomes a great chemistry of what he's talking about, and I can react off of them. Shout out Matty Balls. But we have beloved musicians who weren't good people. Seems very interesting. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into it. God damn, my lung got sore from singing that shit. Fucked myself up. Let's get into it, y'all, man.
Recently, I was watching a video called Great People Who Weren't Good People, about people like Gandhi, Steve Jobs, and Martin Luther King, who all had major flaws. Which got me thinking, are there any musicians who most people love that were actually bad people? And very quickly, I realized that you and I were in for quite the ride. So join me today as we look into great musicians who weren't the greatest people. Everyone knows Elvis, and there's no denying his impact on music history, so there's really no introduction needed here. But what a lot of people don't know is that
I remember Elvis, what it was like a Michael Jackson or a, you don't even have to know. I can't even tell you like lyrics to Elvis song. Like, I don't know. Don't fucking try to ban me in the comments, Elvis lovers. But me personally, I don't. But that tells you how like powerful this nigga was. Like, growing up, I knew his name. I knew who Elvis was. I knew what he looked like. He's on hella merch and all that. But I never really knew his music. All I used to know when I was younger, I don't know where I got it from, but I used to try to do it. I always did impersonations when I was little too. That's how I knew like I was trying to be an entertainer. I always did impersonations. But I remember I used to always do an Elvis one, and I never knew his music. All I knew that he used to be like, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Like that little shit. But boom, let's get to see why he's not a good person.
he had some much darker sides of his life, many of which were shown in his 2022 biopic, which I thought was a bad movie, by the way. I wasn't.
I never watched that.
I
might have to watch that to learn about him. I might watch that.
I don't get it. Regardless, his dark side might be a little shocking, especially since it kind of flips the charming image of Elvis that many of us have into something much more sinister. First of all, Elvis notoriously met his wife Priscilla when she was only 14 years old.
Oh my God. Shit, man, it's like the Epstein video out. The Epstein video overloaded me with underage girls, and here we go. First reason why he's not good talking to 14-year-olds, man. What in the flying Sam-sippity hell do these entertainers and famous people like? Y'all are like superstars, rock stars. Y'all could get anybody. Y'all are saying, oh, move out the way, move out the way. Let me walk to this elementary school. That's fucking sick, bro. Like, man, my bad. I just had to let that. I told you, bro. That Epstein video just made like piss me off because it was so much of it going on, and here we are again. This is way early. This is before Epstein. This shit's been happening, bro. There's been a lot of weird shit with them entertainers and young women, bro.
And this was in 19.
It's a weird connection with it, man. I'm just not figuring it out.
1959 during his time in the army while stationed in Germany. At that point, he was already 24, so not only was there a 10-year age
10
gap,
years
but it was
older is
especially
crazy.
disturbing. Despite the disgusting age difference, this didn't stop Elvis from making some questionable advances, and it didn't end there. Elvis and Priscilla officially decided to pursue a relationship, which eventually went long distance when he returned back to the States. After leaving Germany, the two didn't see each other face to face until 3 years later in 1962. They started talking regularly over the phone, and then in 1967, when she was 22, Elvis married her. To make matters worse, throughout the already unethical and illegal relationship, Elvis married her. Talking regularly over the phone, and then in 1967, when she was 22, Elvis married her.
Okay. She was 22. I thought say he was 20. I'm gonna say she was 12. So he was 32, bro. She was 22. To
make matters worse, throughout the already unethical and illegal relationship, Elvis was never really exclusive and constantly cheated on her, which led to their 1973 divorce.
I just kind of followed, you know, what he did.
She's still alive.
You lived his life. You honestly didn't have your own life. You lived his
That
life.
sounds crazy.
But Elvis's tirades didn't end
away.
there, specifically because Priscilla was far from the only underage girl he had his eyes on. During the height of his fame, Elvis abused his power to manipulate young, impressionable fans wherever he went on tour. Joel Williamson, author of Elvis Presley: A Southern Life, claimed that 2 years before Elvis met his future wife, he took a group of 3.
Music is one of the best ways to express your feelings. That's why today we're gonna do something.
That ass saved me from rage.
14-year-old girls with him on tour who were up for.
Nigga is at the peak of his career. Let's not bring strippers on the plane. Shit, let's not even bring like this some models. I don't know. They said plane, right? Plane, whatever. However they got fucked, I don't care. They could have walked, floated, fly. I don't give a fuck how they got there. It's who he was with to go there. A group of 14-year-old girls and having pillow fights, tickling and kissing and cuddling. You know what's so crazy, bro? I was talking to my cousin about this literally earlier today because the thumbnail showed Elvis. And I did hear about his underage shit, so I knew they might touch on that, but obviously that's the only thing they're probably going to touch on with him. And when I say this, I'm not saying a person is less innocent or anything, or talking to underage kids. I told you, I have no remorse, no explanation, nothing with that shit. But it's like, you have Michael Jackson, you have all these other people, they were bashing for allegedly doing stuff, and you never hear nobody like, bro, Elvis was held to the highest, and he was doing shit like this. Like, where was the accountability with him? Nobody held him accountable for this shit. They still the king of rock. You feel me? Like, they still don't even bring that up.
Pillow fights, tickling, kissing,
it's
and
weird.
cuddling.
That's
and you
weird,
might think
bro.
that the fame and the money,
we
the
don't
power
hear about
and
Elvis
drugs
shit as
corrupted
much.
him. But apparently Elvis was always kind of weird. Back when he was 19, before the musical success, Williamson said elsewhere in his book that Elvis had a 15-year-old girlfriend when he was 19, and that the singer was obsessed with virginity. And his issues with women aren't just about their age, because he also seemed to treat them pretty poorly. Elvis was a manipulator who was extremely controlling, and his abuse wasn't just mental, and he'd often resort to violence. He met Ginger Alden when she was 20 and he was 41. She was a pageant queen hoping to marry the star, but their relationship had some pretty problematic
has a
roots.
pattern.
His treatment of her was horrible, and the couple constantly argued during their time together. After one particularly bad fight, Elvis allegedly asked one of his assistants to pop the tires on her car so she couldn't leave his home. And on another occasion, when she was able to drive away after a fight, it was alleged that he fired a gunshot at her. While the two were engaged,
we never hear about these stories. This nigga was in a toxic relationship with a youngin'. Like, what the fuck? 41, crashing, popping tires.
to be married, their toxic relationship never quite made it that far, and resorting to violence was something that Priscilla had to deal with as well. In her 1985 memoir, Priscilla detailed a bunch of problematic behaviors from Elvis. She described instances where he would give her pills to help her sleep or relax, but in retrospect, many have started to speculate if the pills were all a part of his master plan of control and manipulation. Some reports even go as far as claiming that Elvis spiked Priscilla with amphetamines to keep her awake for marathon sex sessions. Apparently, he was first introduced to amphetamines in the military, and he became severely addicted. And after these drug-fueled sex sessions, Elvis is also said to have taken photographs on a Polaroid camera, which he stored in a silver suitcase delivered to Priscilla after his death, years after their divorce, which is a very weird move, to say the least. On top of all that, taken photographs addicted. And after these drug-fueled sex sessions, Elvis is also said to have taken photographs on a Polaroid camera, which he stored in a silver suitcase delivered to Priscilla after his death, years after their divorce, which is a very weird move, to say the least. On top of all of this, Elvis also had some pretty rough racism allegations. More recently, legendary producer Quincy Jones revealed that he always refused working with Elvis because he was racist. Quincy explained, "No, I wouldn't work with him. I was writing for orchestra leader Tommy Dorsey, oh god, back in the 50s, and Elvis came in, and Tommy said, I don't want to play with him."
Around that era, 50s, 60s. I'm not saying this is just completely true, but 50s and the 60s, it's very likable. If that's the right word I'm using. It's very, 9 times out of 10 he was probably. They weren't too fond of blacks that they called them blacks at this time. Especially like in the music field. It was a lot of gatekeeping going on.
He was a racist mother.
There's a lot of just racism in general. So this sounds believable, honestly.
I'm gonna shut up now. And depictions of Elvis being racist don't only come from Quincy either. Public Enemy's Fight the Power includes lyrics which read, "Elvis was a hero to most, but he never meant shit to me. Straight up racist that sucker was, simple and plain." On top of this, he undeniably had some big appropriation issues. I mean, it's pretty well known that he sort of just stole his sound. And in combination with everything else we do know for sure about the content of his character, I don't think anyone would be all that surprised if that was the case. And it may not be too surprising to hear that a white guy like Elvis back then was racist, but I was in disbelief when I heard allegations of James Brown being racist too. James Brown was a legendary musician who arguably trailblazed
This is a new one. I ain't never heard James in no controversy. Besides, he just got high, which was 75% of all musicians in 70s and 80s. All them niggas got high. Sad to say, if you have an old school hit, if you have an old school playlist, like song or just a song that you loved in the 80s, it's a very high percent that the artist that you love was high as a motherfucker off crack. Crack or something, bro. They was just getting high. Great music came from it, but that was a normal thing back around these times.
Funk music genre and influence.
Outsmart the market with Base 44 super agents. Set up in seconds and
Influenced countless others throughout his career. His successes have led to a bunch of nicknames like Mr. Dynamite, the hardest working man in show business, Minister of New Super Heavy Funk, the Godfather of Soul, the King of Soul, and many more. And let's be honest, to have that many dope nicknames, you've got to be pretty iconic. In his over 50-year-long career, James Brown completely changed music, but his massive success wasn't without controversy. This Redditor puts it plainly saying, "I love James Brown, but he was an awful human." And this sentiment isn't really all that rare either, with some fans twisting one of his most iconic nicknames into the hardest working asshole in show business. While James' music and lyrics are undeniably and crucially connected to progress and civil rights, apparently his relationship to the black people he touched most directly, those who worked for him, was cruel, petty, and contemptuous. Some former employees, like journalist Glenn Ford, even go as far to say that Mr. Brown held only one black person in high regard, himself. According to Glenn Ford, I guess James Brown was moving like Uncle Ruckus. To be fair though, this is the only source that I'm seeing claim this, so take the racist allegations he has with a grain of salt, but it is true that Glenn worked for him and he was a respected journalist, so it could be very possible. Which again is quite shocking to hear from many fans, especially considering the
That boy used to be blasted. Look at him. Drugs beating his ass. R.P. James Brown. But whew. That nigga got that one interview, man. I know one thing that I can see from certain little clips I saw of James Brown. That nigga was full of himself. Like, he gave off pimp. Could see that for sure. But damn, man, the drugs was... It was like, even when he was younger, he looked old. And I'll never see a picture with this nigga when he's not sweating. One thing about it, that's another thing. They used to get high in the 80s. But not only getting high. After they got high, them niggas dance. And when I say dance, look at the video of niggas dancing in the 80s. They dance hard as hell. Like, now in the clubs, like in the little parties and shit, you got people, you might see, like, for the most part, you got a lot of bots. That's the majority of the parties. You got this wall post-ups, just chilling. You might get a little, hey, well, you feel me? Then, in the 80s, and they dance hard while they trying to riz up a girl. They like, what's your name, baby? Emma? What's up, Emma? You want to go out for food? Okay. Like, bro, these niggas, like, I don't know if it was the drugs, bro. Them niggas did not have a pause, bro. They used to dance hard as hell. So, like, I get, like, that's why a lot of videos of them, I mean, pictures, it's armpit sweat, face sweat, like, they didn't dance for, like, the look like they had, you feel me, the look to get aura. They didn't dance for, like, now niggas, in this era, you got people that dance because it look like, to make them look good, you feel me? You got people that love to dance and shit, that, like, love dancing, been dancing since they was little. But you got a lot of people that dance smooth, like, they trying to be cool. These niggas back then, they were dancing to burn calories. That shit was at workout. Real shit, bro.
Often direct titles of his songs, like his 1968 hit, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. However, like I mentioned with takes from some critics, while James lifted up black Americans en masse, those around him definitely had a very different experience. Glenn said that when James was around, his employees were often expected to treat him in a near godlike way, having a whole welcoming ritual planned every time he arrived.
I told you, he did seem like he was full of himself, though.
To each other, like with Mr., Mrs., or Miss, it was a fireable offense. And it wasn't just lower members of his organization that felt extreme pressure. Even members of his band faced wild punishments, including things like mowing the lawn at his radio stations to pay off fines imposed by James. During a civil rights related boycott in his adopted hometown of Augusta, Georgia, where he also owned a major radio station that Glenn worked at, there were some weird decisions that were made. Glenn stated that while James donated $600 to the bail fund, his efforts behind the scenes painted a completely different picture. On day one of the boycott, Glenn was set to promote it as one of the main mouthpieces of support, but James left a note around his microphone that he saw the next morning that said, "There will be no mention of the downtown merchants boycott on this radio station." This order kind of killed the movement, and one that James employees believed
somebody instructed him to say that, bro.
Over his own people. Again, this chunk of information is mostly from Glenn Ford, so take it all with a grain of salt, but it is very fascinating if true. And it might not be too hard to believe considering the other wrongdoings he's been accused of. James Brown was known to have abused drugs and alcohol throughout his life, which led to even worse abuses of his own wives and partners, which has been well documented. With James' first wife, Velma Ward,
about that.
not much has been publicly documented about the drugs. Of her. With his second wife, Deirdre Jenkins, James' daughters described a hellish relationship. They described the abuse like thunder rolling through the house when their mom was thrown against walls. Then when silence came was the
thunder? The kids said it sounded like fucking thunder was in the house when this nigga beat they mom, bro. What the fuck?
the worst part, as the daughters wondered if it meant their own mom was killed. In one graphic scene, they describe witnessing James on top of their mom with punching her hard with blood everywhere. And these are only a couple of the alleged stories.
With James' third
wife, Adrienne Rodriguez, similar allegations were mentioned. Adrienne reported that on one occasion, James beat her with an iron pipe and even shot at her car, which led to his arrest in 1988, and similar circumstances leading to 3 other arrests for assault as well. And then to clear—
How come we can never— I swear, bro, it's like, I don't know if it's what come with it, or it's just like it's either two things. It's either a narrative they get, or all big musicians that be at the top of their genre always have to have a crazy allegation. Either a woman beater, a SA'er, drugs. Especially this era, like, we did not see just somebody just cutting clean. No allegations, no drugs, no nothing. Like, jeez, bro. It's like, put in the comments if y'all know anybody. I want to know, and I want to look it up. Like, I'm literally like interested. If y'all can tell me any, like, between the era of 70s, I'll just do early 2000s, of any musician, specifically R&B, like singers, that were at the peak or the top of their genre that did not have an allegation out about them. It's like that shit damn near is just what come with it at this point, bro.
Up the air, he decided to do this really entertaining interview.
How did all of this trouble begin?
Living in America.
He is high as fuck. Who is he, bro?
Games feel
Oh, he's
too
ass,
easy
man.
and you want a real challenge, there's an app.
You want a
for that.
real
It's called
challenge?
Wand.
Sorry. Get out here.
There's nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong at all. You're not in any difficulty, but you're out on bond.
No, I'm not.
Have all the charges been dropped?
Yeah, I'm out on love. Alone from night to night, you find.
Bro, this nigga tripping. I'm sorry, bro. Oh my gosh. He's losing. Me and my brother Luke, we do this thing when somebody's real like fried to the point where they're like doing just where the drugs are making decisions for them. We say this thing like he's losing. He is actively losing. Like he's getting blew out. Like he said, what'd he say?
All the charges
Nigga think he in a musical.
been dropped?
Yeah, I'm out on love. Alone from night to night, you find me.
Bro said I'm out on love. On the night you find me. Oh my god.
Now, James, this isn't the first time you
Dude
and your
was a
wife
character,
have had a
bro.
problem. Are the two of you going to be able to work this out?
He
Let's
just
talk about some music.
not a good
You want
human,
to
I
talk about
guess.
music,
Man.
and you don't want to talk about what happened.
No, it's all over.
Well, let's talk about your tour. When are you leaving?
Things got so bad that around the 1995 arrest, Adrian was hospitalized, but the charges were dropped
Damn,
since that
see,
next year she
shit like
passed
that,
away
that's
from
not
surgery
cool, bro.
complications, which of course also spawned a bunch of conspiracies. Then comes his fourth wife, Tommy Heine, who again had some dark relations
both
with
of
James.
them
She
motherfuckers.
alleged that on one occasion James pushed her to the floor and threatened her with a chair, which led to an arrest, and he actually even pled guilty / no contest.
Every wife
Instead
that
of
say
any
he
jail
beat
time,
him-
James
beat
was only
them, bro.
slapped with a fine. And abusive patterns
Crazy
like these
word,
were reported
man.
by other girlfriends of James as well, making it seemingly unlikely that all of the spouses could just be going for money. On top of all these horrible actions, James was also accused of
Look, we have to, if we're gonna state that a lot of R&B people or whatever, like I just said, have a lot of allegations, we have to acknowledge that it is true. Like a lot of people, they do put crazy allegations on people for money grabs, and that could be true. That after the first wife got their money, a lot of them afterwards saw, you feel me? But it also could be true is that he just beats all his wives. It's one of them. Allegedly, we don't. You feel me? One of the people involved really know.
in 2005 when his former publicist, Jacques Hollander, filed a lawsuit against him, all stemming from a 1988 incident where Jacques alleges he assaulted her while holding her at shotgun point. But since the case was brought up
Shotgun
beyond the statute
point?
of limitations and other legal reasons, it was
Shotgun point is crazy. Because shotgun is crazy. Because you have to hold that with two hands, bro. That's wild as hell.
dismissed. So with all these reported mistreatments of employees, spouses, and everyone in between,
I don't know,
it's
man.
safe to
So is
assume James
everybody
Brown
lying?
Probably wasn't the best guy. But James Brown is only one person, as it's pretty crazy to think about the fact that two of the Beatles were both abusive. John Lennon and Ringo Starr are both some of the biggest musicians in the world.
See,
and
this
are
new
most
info for
notably
me, y'all.
members of the Beatles. John in particular got a massive amount of love from fans.
Now, if we hear this, we know with Elvis, the Beatles are literally like held to like godly form to some people. So the fact that I'm having to watch this video to hear this is crazy too. Because anybody else, so all of these are obviously alleged, but it's certain people that I don't know who picks it, but if they get hit with alleged things, they automatically, oh, it's true, we're going to treat him like he's guilty. Then you got these cases, it's probably people that knew about this, but just, it's allegedly. Somebody could be lying on them. Like, bro, we got to hold everybody at the same standard, the same accountability, bro. That's the part that I don't like about this shit.
Remembered especially because of his tragic murder. And because of this, many people sort of forget about the darker side of his legacy, which is honestly a little bit surprising because he doesn't seem to really hide it too much in his music. In his song Getting Better, John...
I didn't even see. I don't really listen to that music. I want to know that. So I know for a fact that people that listen to that music knew, like, this nigga was battling with it. From what he's saying. He said he didn't hide it in the music.
openly sings about being a neglectful and even abusive husband and father. The lyrics read, "I used to be cruel to my woman. I beat her and kept her apart from the things that she loved." And this
So people were listening to those lyrics and like, what? And this is the last thing I'm gonna say about it with the equal shit. This is irritating. If Michael Jackson would have said in his song, even though this wouldn't make sense with the music he was making, but if he would have said anything like that, people will hold, or him or other people, they will hold him accountable for saying that in a song. Did you just hear what he said in his song? He beats women, da da da. This obviously didn't get held for shit because never heard of it. Nobody talks about it, and I know for a fact that people know all the lyrics to Beatles songs. So big fans knew that this was said. Well, they just thought like he said it. So it's like this is not even an allegation. This is him, nigga. This is coming from the horse's mouth. He said, I used to beat her and kept her apart from things that she loved. I was cruel to my woman. He's saying it. So this is not even an allegation. Nobody held him accountable for that.
It wasn't a one-off mention either. In John's most comprehensive interview, which was conducted with Playboy in 1980, right before his death, he said, all that I used to be cruel to my woman, I beat her and kept her apart from the things that she loved, was me. I used to be cruel to my woman, and physically, anyone.
Double down on it.
I couldn't express myself, and I hit. I fought men, and I hit women. That is why I'm always on about peace, you see? It is the most violent people who go for love and peace. Everything's the opposite, but I sincerely believe in love and peace. I'm a violent man who has learned not to be violent and regrets his violence. I will have to be a lot older before I can face in public how I treated women as a youngster. And John spoke in many other occasions.
Quote unquote, at least that he took accountability. He obviously took accountability. Everybody else didn't though.
About his past violence.
Everybody else didn't hold him accountable, but he took accountability, which is a big thing to do, you know. I do believe you can make a messed up thing and it can be a wrong thing, but shit, if you're aware of it and change it, I feel like you should be held equal as anybody else if you change it, you know? Because shit, the first part of you changing is acknowledging what you did wrong.
Detailing his issues with alcohol and how it made him violent to the point where he thought he almost killed those he fought on multiple occasions. To be as objective as possible, I don't think John hit women like super regularly. At least that's the argument I see his fans making. But hitting women in general is wrong, and I think we can all agree on that. Many of these controversies are scattered throughout his discography, like with the earlier mentioned songs and more, including The Ballad of John and Yoko and Cold Turkey, where he discussed his life and struggles with heroin. And instead of hiding his mistakes, it's interesting that he instead chose to sing about them. In a similar situation, fellow Beatle Ringo Starr is also guilty of being abusive. After drinking too much and cheating on his first wife Maureen regularly, he got divorced. He even referred to himself as a drunk, a wife beater, and an absent father. After they were divorced, he eventually remarried to a lady named Barbara. There are very few sources except for one book on this, so again, take this with a grain of salt, but it seems to be common knowledge among Beatles fans, especially on Reddit. Regardless, in a book by Andrew Grant Jackson called Still the Greatest: The Essential Songs of the Beatles' Solo Careers, the author writes, by the late 1980s, Starr was blacking out often and getting violent. He later said, I came to one Friday afternoon and was told by the staff that I had trashed the house so badly they thought there had been burglars. And
God damn. They thought somebody broke in. His house was so messy, they thought somebody broke in that motherfucker.
And I'd trashed Barbara so badly, they thought she was dead. Eventually, he sobered up and remained with her. But this trend that many of these artists have of getting high or drunk and then hitting their wives is pretty crazy to me. Never once have I been on any substance and felt the need to hit my girl.
Just
so
hit my
I don't
girl,
think there's really any justifying this. As
we can't use drugs as an excuse, man.
And for a lot of these people, a lot of these incidents were towards the end of their careers. So it's tough to say how successful they would have been had these allegations come out sooner. But Dr. Dre, despite there being a mound of evidence for him being abusive, somehow managed to become one of the few billionaires to come from hip-hop. Dr. Dre is among many of the most recognizable names in hip-hop, and this is for multiple reasons, including his involvement with Beats Headphones, Death Row Records, NWA, and plenty of other massive projects. The point is, we all know who Dr. Dre is to a degree, but what I guess most people don't seem to know is his dark side. Throughout his long, multi-decade spanning career in the music industry, Dr. Dre has been accused of multiple incidents of violence against women. In 1991, at a music industry party, Dr. Dre...
Almost everybody that hit women, man. That shit. Fellas, if she make you that mad, fucking leave, bro. I don't... Just like that kid shit, I don't condone being on no woman, bro. That shit weak. Leave, my nigga. Control yourself and leave. Walk away. There are them women that's... I mean, in some cases, they're gonna try to chase you and all that, bro. Run away, nigga. You're gonna be in a lot more deeper shit doing that. And it's just not the right thing to do, bro. But with Dr. Dre, I'ma hold him too. How did he get held so high? You feel me? But I'll say that they weren't hiding this. I remember him fighting these cases with his wife and all the little shit, but he didn't get canceled, obviously.
Assaulted television host Dee Barnes following an episode of her show Pump It Up. In the episode, Dee interviewed NWA as well as Ice Cube separately, where he kind of proceeded to mock NWA. This upset Dr. Dre, so for some reason he approached Dee, the interviewer, picked her up by her hair and ear, then proceeded to slam her head and body into the wall. When she fell to the ground, he continued kicking her in her ribs and stomping on her fingers.
This is a real
As she tried to
story,
escape, she went to the bathroom, but Dre kicked open the door and struck her multiple times in the back of the head. For even more context, she was 5'3" and Dr. Dre's 6'1", so kind of crazy. As a result, Dee filed a $22 million lawsuit against Dre. He was also fined, given 2 years of probation, ordered to undergo 240 hours of community service, and was forced to speak out against violence on TV.
Nigga done them there beat her to death, and he basically did slap on the wrist and pay some money that we know you have. Crazy weird.
While the suit was settled out of court, Dre's response to the situation was pretty shocking. Instead of apologizing, he said, "People talk all this shit, but you know, somebody f***ed with me, I'm gonna f*** with them. I just did it, you know? Ain't nothing you can do now by talking about it. Besides, it ain't no big thing. I just threw her through a door." But Dre's abuse of women didn't end there. Later on in 2015, Michelle, the mother of one of his kids, but Dre's abuse of now by talking about it. Besides, it ain't no big thing. I just threw her through a door.
Niggas said it ain't no big thing. I'll just throw her. So I'm gonna go into public and just throw a woman through a fucking door. Man, that ain't nothing, bro. I just threw her through the door. What the fuck are you, nigga? What? What is big to you? What is big to him then?
But Dre's abuse of women didn't end there. Later on in 2015, Michelle, the mother of one of his kids, accused him of domestic violence during their time together, but did not take legal action. Unlike Dre's incident with Dee, his abuse of Michelle lasted years while they were together. According to Michelle, it resulted in 5 black eyes and a bunch of other scars throughout her body.
Getting punched in the face. And then...
Oh, I was getting dragged on the floor, shot at, yeah.
Miss LA, man. I think that's how you pronounce her. Her voice, man. Prayers to her, though. I mean, she's good now, but, like, during that area, going through that with him and shit, that's fucked up. Getting beat by a man, all that shit. This has nothing to do with that, so don't connect it. But her voice is fucking, ugh. Why does it sound like that? She had to, it's no way in hell. She had to she had to do a voiceover for an animated character. She sound like a fucking cartoon that I heard.
Getting punched in the face. And then...
Oh, I was getting dragged on the floor, shot at, yeah.
She sound like somebody. What cartoon is that? Oh, yeah. I don't know. Who does she sound like, y'all? Put that in the comments. Who does she sound like? I can't think of her voice. I don't know. She has an animated voice, though.
I always did. And I always say, well, it could have been just me. So one day one night we was arguing, he went and got the gun, and I just made it through the bathroom door and he shot at me and he missed me by that much.
Abusive patterns like this caused Michelle to leave on multiple occasions, but they always seemed to get back together. All the while, his assaults continued, and on top of that, he was constantly cheating to the point where he got multiple other women pregnant. And adding another layer, Michelle was dating Dre when he attacked Dee, which is just insane. However, the run of abuse doesn't end there, as another one of Dre's baby mamas, Lisa Johnson, stated that Dre beat her many times, including while she was pregnant, and eventually she was granted a
shit is making me not like these niggas, bro. Fuck is wrong with you, Dre?
Restraining order against him. In combination with the other accusations,
awaken to a world of wonder in Final Fantasy XIV Online.
Who is that?
Former label mate Terry B claimed Dre assaulted her at a
from the bottom down on what? That didn't look like Madonna though.
Party as well in response to one of her tracks. Eventually, the accusations started to get so big that Dre had to address them. So he did so during his press run for Straight Outta Compton. He said, "I made some fucking horrible mistakes in my life. I was young, fucking stupid. I would say all the allegations aren't true, but some of them are. Those are some of the things that I would like to take back. It was really fucked up, but I paid for those mistakes, and there's no way in hell that I will ever make another mistake like that again." And he would repeat this sentiment for years in following interviews, but it was received with little sincerity from those he abused. Unlike Dr. Dre, though, XXX's violent allegations were part of what fueled his rise. I mean, he was bragging about fighting the Migos at his peak.
The Migos, straight up. Look at this shit. Y'all niggas
RPX,
how you have fire and ain't shoot me. Quavo, Offset. That pussy, what's it called? Lift off? Lift off. Call y'all pussy.
RP Takeoff, man. I never knew that he was. I knew he got into it with Drake. I didn't know this nigga fought the Migos.
Yes, all y'all.
So it's no surprise that X had a very troubled past before his untimely death. XXXTentacion had one of the fastest rises to the mainstream that we've seen in a while, and while his run lasted pretty short because of his murder, he amassed a large cult following that even through his public controversies stood by him. So X has been in a ton of controversies, so I'm gonna try to get the main ones out of the way, but there's a lot here, so I may miss a thing or two. First though is his juvenile issues, because before turning 18 he had charges for drugs, break-ins, theft, gun possession, and was even fined $86 for attempting to commit suicide by running into oncoming traffic. But these are far from the worst.
Huh? They can fine you for trying. What the fuck?
$86 for attempting to.
They fined him $86. Imagine you just overwhelmed. You try to off yourself running into traffic. You don't get hit by a car. The police come and you get fined. What the fuck? I've never heard an instance like that in my life. A nigga getting fined for trying to off himself is crazy work. What charge is that? I mean, I guess it's not a charge. It's a fine, but what? They gave him a jaywalking ticket? Getting a jaywalking ticket and you try to off yourself getting hit by a car is crazy. They said, fuck it. We don't care about your mental. Let's add more to your mental. Now you owe us money. What the fuck, bro? I've never heard that before.
Traffic. But these are far from the worst things he was accused of doing. In 2016, Ski Mask got into an argument with Tables, which was his and X's manager at the time. Ski stormed out and later called X while drunk and lied, telling him that Tables had taken thousands of dollars from X. Later in the day, X and some others broke into Tables' apartment. He then proceeded to threaten Tables with a knife and by some accounts accidentally stabbed him. Then X and his crew left, taking Tables' laptop with him. Surprisingly, Tables said he would drop all the charges as long as the laptop was returned, claiming he didn't want to ruin X's life over one bad decision. And Tables kept his word and X paid for all Tables' hospital bills, so I guess they were good. Days after being released on bail from the stabbing, X was arrested and charged with robbery, assault with a deadly weapon, and home invasion, all from an incident which took place the year prior. During the incident, X allegedly pistol whipped the homeowner 3 times and left with an iPad, an iPhone, a Sony PSP, and $20. In the end, X pleaded no contest and was sentenced to 6 years of probation. And then came the more serious issues. While awaiting trial in early October of the same year, X was arrested again later that month on charges of aggravated battery of a pregnant woman, domestic battery, and false imprisonment. While at first this relatively hadn't blown up into that big of a story, things changed a lot after Pitchfork leaked the testimony of the alleged victim. X pled not guilty and even denied the allegations in multiple interviews, but the details were scathing nonetheless. The victim delivered over 2.5 hours of testimony, which resulted in 142 pages of transcription describing the dark patterns of abuse. If you're a fan of X, you're very familiar with this story, and you probably debate whether or not this actually happened, so I'll try to cover this as objectively as possible. Apparently, the two met at one of X's shows, and soon after, he invited her to live with him. The first instance of alleged abuse occurred about 2 weeks after she moved in, when he slapped her and broke her phone because she complimented a male friend. Later that day, X left the room and returned with 2 grilling implements, a barbecue pitchfork and a barbecue cleaner, and told her to pick between them because he was going to put one of them in her vagina. She chose the fork. He told her to undress. He was lightly dragging the tool against her inner thigh when she passed out. He did not penetrate her with it. Following that initial incident, X began his pattern of violence toward her, and when the couple moved to Orlando, he apparently threatened to kill her almost every day. After one occasion of her humming one of X's friend's verses, he headbutted her, punched her, stomped her, and put her in the bathtub where he continued hitting and kicking her. And she added on, he also wanted to cut out my tongue because I was singing the song. She attempted to flee down the street, but he tackled her, all in all causing her black eyes.
I'm seeing a lot of, one thing about it is that all is in common with these terrible allegations with all these niggas, bro, is all these people. A lot of it, I feel like, stemming from power, bro. They want full control over their spouse. They feel like, I don't know. It just seems like all of this shit, I can't be in their minds that know exactly why, but a lot of this shit seems like a control thing. And it's sad to say, it's a lot of niggas not even famous. They like to control their spouse. Damn near crosses from spouse over to slave, but definitely noticing that. It's a lot of control shit. They want to control how this person acts, treats them, and things that they do.
A lump on the back of her head, scratch marks and bruises, including a large bruise on her ankle where he stomped her. Throughout their relationship, she alleged that X had broken about 30 plastic clothes hangers on her legs, tried cutting her hair, and even attempted drowning her in the bathtub. Then, while X was in jail for separate charges, she hooked up with another guy and X was upset, obviously.
Shit.
He confronted her about it and proceeded to put a knife to her neck, strangled her, and called her a hoe. Occasions like this apparently happen regularly, with the same disgusting behaviors being repeated over and over again. Apparently, it got really bad when he found out she was pregnant, threatening to kill her and the kid, and beating her to the point where her face was almost unrecognizable.
Shit came
For a little bit, he allegedly held her captive until one night she escaped. Throughout this whole saga of all these accusations against him, X also continued doing PR moves like donating $100,000 to domestic violence causes, and even tried to host an event to support victims. But the whole actual legal trial was extremely...
That shit not genuine though. It's like you give into a good cause, but you give into a good cause, yes, that money goes to help them. But nigga, that's like me going to DARE, right? You remember DARE? Anybody that's younger, I don't know if they come to the schools now, but you remember don't do drugs, little DARE shit. That's like me investing a bunch of money in a DARE, and I walk outside and just sell hella drugs to the whole community. Like, nigga, what are you doing, bro? Like, they cancel each other out. Bro thought he was doing good deeds, helping for domestic violence. Nigga, you're adding on to it afterwards doing it. It's not genuine, you feel me?
Complex for a lot of reasons, including public pressure for multiple petitions to free X, and even the victim asking for
he did have a cult following though, bro.
To testify. Eventually, after his murder,
fans
she still
loved
maintained
him.
that she didn't want him to receive jail time. And X's lawyer claimed that if X hadn't died and saw the trial through, the worst he'd get is probation. There were also phone calls to his mom that were released after his death where he declined doing everything he was accused of. And the situation was even more complicated when Pitchfork wrote about a secret recording where X allegedly confessed to domestic abuse and other violent crimes.
On October 23rd, 2018, new audio surfaced with the late rapper XXXTentacion admitting to committing multiple violent crimes and threatening to kill.
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus. And this is your brain when you're in the zone.
Kill his ex.
Until I started her up, bro. But I started her up because she made one mistake, and then from there, the whole cycle went down. Now she's scared. That girl is scared for her life.
Later, he says, I will kill that bitch if she played with me.
The issue is, though, because of the editing of the audio clips, it was kind of hard to tell what X really meant with some of the statements he made. However, a bit before the audio was leaked, a Snapchat video of X beating on a girl when he was 15 dropped. His lawyer claimed the video was in jest and not an actual act of aggression, but it made the accusations look a lot more credible than they already were. And since when X died, the case was closed, it's hard to fully validate all of these allegations, but I remember being a fan of his back then, and from what it seemed like, it was true to an extent, and it was kind of hard to rationalize back then, so I feel like probably the same situation now. And while X was a crazy guy all around, Rick James seemed pretty cool and normal until he got...
I heard about Rick James. I don't know the detail. We're going to hear it, but I heard Rick James. This is another one of them. Remember what we were talking about earlier, Legion? This is another one of them 70 to early 2000s. A lot of drugs, a lot of sweating, and a lot of abuse. So we're going to see.
Rick James was a massively popular singer, songwriter, and record producer. His long career in music was very iconic, with a bunch of albums going gold, and even his project Street Songs going platinum. And if off the top of your head you can't think of a Rick James song, you've definitely heard his hit song Super Freak, which surprisingly did...
She's a super freak, super freak. I know another one. He got that Fire and Desire. Fire and Desire. Fuck that whole... I messed up the melody. But yeah, I know the Fire and Desire and Super Freak. Definitely know that.
Didn't win a Grammy, at least until MC Hammer sampled the beat and made his own hit with Can't Touch This.
She's a super freak, super freak.
However, one thing about Rick that might not be very well known anymore is that he suffered from addiction with many different drugs. And these drug habits in turn led to a bunch of erratic occasions and even hospitalizations.
I was off into drugs then at that time, seriously, and it was like a time in my life when things were happening real fast, and I didn't quite have a serious grip on, on things.
To make matters worse, he had a stroke because of a blood vessel bursting during one of his shows, and then he had a hip replacement surgery, which was in part because of jumping around on stage, and probably because of his...
See? Shit like that. You can't tell me these niggas wasn't dancing hard. This nigga needed a hip replacement young. This nigga dancing so hard, nigga bust his hip out. Drugs make them niggas dance so hard.
Substance abuse as well, and this intense drug addiction created problems in more areas of his life than just health. During his era of heavy cocaine usage for about 5 years straight, Rick claims to have spent about $7,000 a week on the drugstore alone. And this rampant drug use inevitably led to a decent amount of crimes as well.
It was a month ago yesterday that Rick James was arrested along with his girlfriend Tanya Hijazi for allegedly imprisoning a 24-year-old woman in his Hollywood Hills home, torturing her allegedly with a hot cocaine pipe and forcing her to commit sexual acts on his girlfriend Tanya Hijazi.
During a binge that lasted around a week, Rick and his girl at the time were arrested on charges of kidnapping a 24-year-old girl and holding her hostage for around 6 days. During this time, they tied her up, forced her to do sexual acts, and burned her legs and abdomen with the hot end of a crack pipe.
According to police, the 25-year-old alleged victim
claimed to
Rick James and his female companion at a party. She says the trio then...
Cocaine is one hell of a drug, I'll just say that, man.
It was on the nights of July 16th and 17th that alleged victim claims she became a virtual prisoner here, held at gunpoint, even tied up and tortured, she claims, by being burnt with the hot end of a crack cocaine pipe.
Because of all of these crazy things, Rick was facing life in prison. But instead of taking these charges seriously, a year later, while out on bail, him and his girlfriend kidnapped another girl. The person they kidnapped was a music executive who believed there was a business meeting going down. Following the ordeal, she claimed throughout the 20-hour period that she was held hostage and that Rick and his girl continuously...
This was another, so this don't make it no better, but he made his girl part of the operation. And I'm gonna keep saying it. You the Rick James, super freak. Yo, super freaky ass can just get a girl on her own consent, not kidnapping her, and do whatever sexual act you wanted her to do instead of fucking tying her up, burning her with crack pipes. That's so crazy. If a nigga just says that to you, if somebody just says that story to you of somebody, you're just not believing that. You hear what that's something that like a person that lies a lot, that exaggerates a lot, says a story. Bro, yeah, bro, they tied her up, man, burned her with the crack pipes, and all this shit really happened. Only answer I can say is drugs. D-R-U-G, capital fucking S.
Beat her. Eventually, James was found guilty of both occasions, but somehow narrowly avoided the torture charge, which would have been the one that put him away for life. While serving a 5-year sentence, Rick lost a civil suit against the music executive he kidnapped and was forced to pay her almost $2 million. And after serving just 2 years, Rick James was released. In years following arguably the peak of his criminal activity, Rick was accused twice more of sex-related crimes, one of which was with a 15-year-old girl, and Rick was being sued for $50 million, but he did end up winning both cases. Then, though, at just 56 years old, Rick was found dead in his home due to supposedly natural causes, although it's kind of hard to see what is so natural about his official death because he did have a lot of drugs in his system. However, the coroner surprisingly said that none of the drugs or drug combinations were found to be at levels that were life-threatening in and of themselves. So it's a shame that Rick dealt with so much drug addiction because of the harm that it ended up causing so many of.
That nigga had Xans in him, Valium, Vikes, and a bunch of shit that I can't fucking pronunciate. And cocaine and meth.
Other people. If you like this video, you might like my video about some music videos that were extremely...
And there we got it, y'all. But, man, like, comment, subscribe, man. Let me know what y'all think about this, man. What's your take on this? What y'all think about it? Any topics? Make sure y'all comment below. Outside of that, thank you for coming to another video. I want to thank y'all again, man. This is a start of a journey, man. Let's just keep running it up and keep growing the community, man. Y'all are in the Labs Legion, and I'm happy that y'all came. And I hope y'all stay. Peace! Whoa. Hold on real quick. I just want to let y'all know I do have more than this main channel, man. Make sure y'all look at my gaming channel. And we got a sport channel for all sports, specifically football content.
I'm going dollar for dollar. I'm going dollar for dollar. Dollar for dollar, she screaming, she holler, she liking the way that I walk. I don't need a designer to get right behind find her, she loving the way that I talk. All this hustling, grinding, this business I'm on, and I do all this shit on my own. Now I'm writing on my wrongs. Picking up pieces I'm on.
If y'all not watching my daddy, what are y'all doing?